I am only certain this is Anthem Greatness live and in person. Kukumkai, bullseye. And today you'll be getting 10 questions with Anthem Greatness, courtesy of Kreative Studios. Let's go.
Alright, so Anthem Greatness, we are here today.
We're there, thanks for having me.
Yeah man, it's good to have you. So we'll start off the interview with the first question, which is, who is Anthem Greatness, for those who don't know?
Well, Anthem Greatness is a recording artist, whose artistry represents information, inspiration, and of course entertainment. Being formally educated is the perfect blend of intellectual, and we grew up in the streets of St. Thomas and Portland, so gangster as well, so it's intellectual gangster, which is the artistry. And we do a diverse, we dabble in every genre of music, so reggae, dancehall, pop, rap, spoken word, gospel, you name it, we do it.
How old were you when you wrote your first song?
Well, I wrote my first original song when I was about 9 years old, 2004, but before that I was like remixing, writing over popular songs in primary school.
Can you describe your creative process, like how you write a song?
Yeah, well, for me, my creative process is centered around a message and delivery. So for instance, I will get an inspiration, like for instance, say, one of my latest songs, Good Girls Finished Last, that would have been the theme. So the first thing I do is I pick a theme or a topic for the song, and then I find the appropriate instrumental, and then I just channel that energy. So like listening with that theme, the chorus would bring out the theme, and the verse would expound on that concept in a entertaining and let's say impressive way, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, impressive. So, alright, majority of the artists them nowadays, they must say the dance. And so my question to you is, are you what you would call an educated artist or a representation of the dance culture?
Well, we could never describe ourselves as dance. At one point I was even, let's say, a Rastafarian. Dance. Alright, let me say it this way. I don't judge any of the youth saying that they're dance, because I think what they're trying to say is we are accomplishing what they're accomplishing without formal education. However, knowledge and wisdom is power, and the reason why a lot of our youths perish today is because of a lack of knowledge and wisdom. We could never represent anything dunce or ignorant. We want the youth them to be empowered, we want the youth them to seek wisdom, knowledge and understanding. We're seeing what's happening in Burkina Faso, where they are creating electric cars that are more powerful than Tesla. They're creating phones in Africa that doesn't require a SIM card to make calls. We need information and inspiration, the highest human act is to inspire. We can't represent anything else, Knowledge is key to our freedom and financial empowerment. You get me?
Yeah, so based on the way you speak, you can tell that you're very intelligent, and
thank you.
Most people that say you that sound like a doctor. And so what do you think bring you to the art form of music?
Well, you speak about doctor, and in science they say that a person, what we see in a person, as in physical and non-physical, it's based on nature and nurture. So basically your blood and the environment affect who you are, otherwise from choice. And that is the case for what brought me to music, because my mother was one of the baddest DJ back in her time. She used to DJ and sounds going around St. Thomas, Portland. But then she decided to get baptized and put the craft aside. So it's in my blood. I come from a musical family. My mother is an artist, my father loves music, as well as environment. Going to primary school, there was this young man by the name of Andrew Francis. We were very close, and we would be DJ in the classes, beat decks. At that point we had no phones to play instrumental, beat decks and DJ. So environment, blood, and as well as based on the fact that growing up I didn't have much for entertainment. I didn't have a television, I didn't have video games. So I grew up listening to the radio and reading books, and it wasn't long before we put this knowledge into the form of music. You get me?
What would you say separate your music from other recording artists?
Right. Well, in all honesty, when I listen to other recording artists of today, it sounds very basic. Like, and I say that in the humblest way. My music has a lot of depth, you know. The way I write my music, there is so much there. You may listen to it now and still not get the fullness of it. There are words to be learned, there are philosophical gems, like for instance, let's say Black Sheep. When I say I do this for all these misfits, the weirdos, the lame nerds, the black sheep spirits, and those who go beyond their limits to unveil mysteries, their hearts saying timid, and those who rail, never pretend, and faithfully rebel and dare to be different. Like when I listen to these artists now and what they're saying, there is not much in terms of like substance, something to learn, something to inspire. So my music is inspiring, educational. My rhymes are close-knitted. So when I say I'm the most prolific virtuoso, image out home, lyrics show the photo vivid like a Motorola billet, me no know no limit. Like I wrap the rhymes so closely together, a lot of artists cannot do it. So it's very entertaining, very educational, as well as the melodies are very good as well. So I think my artistry separates me from a lot of these artists, you know?
Yeah, so speaking of artistry, like what or who would you say are some of your biggest musical inspirations?
Yeah, so you know nothing happens in a vacuum and all artists must be inspired. Like in our Jamaican scene, you know, let's say in the reggae genre, Bob Marley is a big inspiration. I love Protege as well. Sizzla Kalonji, you get me. Janine, that female, love her as well. Chronix as well. In the dancehall scene, Idona has always been a big influence, a dominant voice, you know, and he was one of the first who started out with syllable rhyming. He was one of the first person I heard do it. I think the first place I saw Idona perform was at a Jim Brown Memorial. He didn't even get the break yet, and he was spitting pure syllables. That time syllables was not what's happening in Jamaica, meaning multiple rhymes. So Idona is a big influence. Alkaline as well, for standing alone and being true to himself. You know, which proves that it is better to be at war with the world and at peace with yourself and at peace with the world and at war with yourself. So Alkaline, Idonia, I can't say Vybz Kartel was not an influence. Growing up, he was one of the most dominant forces. Mavada as well, for influencing a whole culture with his simplicity and melodies. And as a new artist, Massacre is an influence as well. If you go international, rappers like Lupe Fiasco, Nipsey Hussle, Absol, Eminem, you know, Nas, some of my favorites. If you go Afro, Burna Boy, Wizkid, Odomodo Black, I love Simi, you know, I love Tiwa Savage. Countless artists has inspired Anthem greatness, you know.
Yeah. True that. As you speak, I guess everybody know that music now for you is a career.
Natural.
Yeah, so what are some of your long-term goals in the music industry?
Well, long-term goals, it's 2025 now. I guess the biggest long-term goal any artist could have is to be relevant after some decades. You know, to still be, you know, inspiring and to still be a household name, because it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You know, and we see a lot of artists come hot for a year, 2 years, and then we hear nothing about them. We see Vybz Kartel now going on, 2 decades, you know, not to mention Bounty Killer, how much decades. It's about longevity, it's about standing to the test of time. So that's one of my goals. Also, other goals involve mentoring some artists. I'd like to help bring some artists to success as soon as I've become successful, because you know you're not a success until a successor succeed. You have to bring other people to success. I'd like to acquire some accolades, you know, maybe some Grammy Awards, some international awards, and to help push the Jamaican culture and the wisdom of Jamaica to the world through the vehicle of music, you know?
Yeah, and it's also great that you say you want to mentor other persons, because my next question for you is what advice would you give young people or all young artists or entertainers coming up who say like, yeah, I feel like I want to be an artist, or I know I can be an artist,
right,
I want to pursue a career?
Right. Well, for young prospective artists, for me it's mainly two things. So it's the craft and the character. Because if you don't master your craft, because they say it take 10,000 hours, and with music it's not just about writing songs, recording songs, performing songs, as well as like this, a studio, interview appearance. So it's a package deal with the artist. So the craft is mastering them things. But the character is also very important, because you may gain an opportunity, but your character renders you unable to maintain this opportunity. So you have to develop your character in the sense of you have to be humble when necessary, confident when necessary. You have to be you have to be a quick learner. You have to be adaptable. You have to ensure you have a strong character, because it is a case where a lot of artists are very talented, but based on their character, they fail or they don't achieve what they could have. A lot of them may be a bit selfish, a lot of them may be hypocritical or a bit too, mix up, for lack of a better word. So, character, ensure you have a good character, where people are not afraid to work with you and you're not a no artist. And ensure that you master your craft. You should not feel because you did not work hard enough. So that's my advice to any upcoming artists,
Alright, so the last question.
Yeah.
Ken, what do you want Anthem Greatness to be remembered for when you leave this earth?
When I leave this earth. So that would be legacy. Alright, so you see, George, I think it's, what's his name? I think it's, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but there is a Mr. Jordan guy that said something to the effect of, there is no real excellence in all this world that can be separated from right living. The reason why Vybz Kartel may never go down on the same level as Bob Marley is because Bob Marley's legacy is based around righteous living. Vybz Kartel now is trying to make amends after leaving prison. However, what I'm trying to say is, if the majority of your works is not inspiring or is not shifting the culture in a positive direction, then your legacy, your impact would not be as great. So what I want Anthem Greatness to be remembered for, regardless of the fact that I'm a dancehall artist and the nature of dancehall is mainly ego, mainly material, mainly entertainment, I want Anthem Greatness to be remembered for empowerment, inspiring the youth. I want to be remembered for teaching the young people what I learned as an older man. I want to be remembered for helping my government to be better leaders. I want to be remembered for being a part of the African liberation, given that it's a great time to be alive with Ibrahim Traore and Africa trying to stand together. I just want to be remembered for being a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. You get me?
Yeah. Well, so as we say, that was just 10 questions with Anthem Greatness. But before we go, is there anything else you want to say to the people?
Yes, I just dropped 2 EP, Birth of Babaluki, City and a Hill. 2 EP are available on all platforms. Otherwise from that we have 9 albums out as well. Go and familiarize yourself with the catalog. I recently said on TikTok that I am one of the best Jamaican artists, and some people were offended, saying I'm not better than Vybz Kartel and whatever. But go ahead and check out the catalog. Go and check out the catalog, because there is some great music there, and it shouldn't be held hostage to a lack of funds for promotion. So go and check out the catalog. Thank you for having me, Kreative Studios. This has been Anthem Greatness. Shout out to Super Superior Sound, Super Productions, Elite Jamaicans, Great Nation Entertainment. Love.